So good evening to you, dear viewers. If you've been monitoring the airwaves for the past couple of days, you would have observed that there's been intense discussions centered around women. The rise of women, the contribution of women to economic and other forms of development, and also issues around how we have appreciated women over the years. By kind courtesy today of the Women's Intelligentsia for Service and Excellence, WISE, we bring you this special International Women's Day feature on the topic, Taking Up the Leadership Challenge During Crisis, How Poised is the Contemporary Woman? Today's event is proudly sponsored by Tarragon Edge and Genevieve Pearl. And to help me have a solid discussion, I have with me two beautiful ladies, and will soon be joined by one other. I will duly acknowledge her presence when she arrives. I have with me Madam Jifa Ama Anyaso. She's the CEO of Ultimate Credit Solutions. And I also have with me Madam Theodora Senaya, who is the Head of Operational Risk, Fidelity Bank, Ghana Limited. Ladies, you are welcome.
Thank you.
All right. We'll soon have joining us Madam Elinam Abla Hogley, who is the Deputy Managing Director for JK Hoggle Transport and Company Limited. Ladies, I must confess that I'm highly elated to be the only gentleman among this very exciting group, and I'm looking forward to a very good discussion.
Thanks.
All right. Now, to set the ball rolling, I would like to pick your thoughts on the topic. I'll start with you, Jifa. What are your thoughts on the topic, Taking Up Leadership Challenge During Crisis? How poised is the contemporary woman?
Okay, thank you, Sam. To set this evening's discussion rolling, I'd want to share three thoughts with you that we chew on as we dive into deeper waters. First of all, getting into and staying in position of power is a very difficult thing, especially looking at the traditional roles that women play as a leader, a wife, a mother, and whatever. And I must make it very clear that no one is going to hand over leadership to a woman on a silver platter. Based on that, I want you to just pay attention to the following three thoughts as we move on. First of all, leadership is a complex thing. It has to begin from somewhere, grow somewhere, before we get to the ultimate goal. So my thought number one is that start from the girl child. Women, mothers, aunties, we must all first of all take the responsibility of preparing the young girl to understand that it's very necessary for them to think leadership.
Okay, it is not so easy, but this is something we need to learn. As she mentioned, nobody is born with this. Some people, maybe as they are growing up, analytically they are very good. But when you see a document and you have to analyze, okay, if you want to aspire to be in the at the board, and being at the board is not only in the business, because even in the if you're an entrepreneur, you still have board members. So when you go and then you are sitting there as the CEO, okay, you are not always there in the business, and they bring you a document, a contract. Are you able to really look at it and analyze it well? So that we need to know, we need to learn, okay? And then the second bit is understanding of macroeconomic issues.
Okay.
Be in tune with what is happening in the economy, okay? How many of us do really take time and read the Business Times, okay? Business newspaper. When they are giving business news, do we really take time to listen to it? You know, again, it cuts across. Even if you have a shooter business and you know that, okay, maybe export, import, maybe, you know, it can help you to strategize well, no matter where you find yourself. And if you are a woman in the corporate world too, when you understand this thing and you go to the boardroom or you go to any meeting, you are very, very confident. This is where, when issues are being discussed, you can ask questions, you can contribute because you know what you're talking about.
Okay. Are these competencies actually being demonstrated, in your view? What would be your reasons for whatever you ascribe?
I think that now, looking at where we are, and I have also had the privilege of, sitting in certain boards, and I think we are getting there. Okay, I will not say that we are there 100%, but in terms of percentage-wise, because I have been in boards, and there are women. If they are not there, it's like as soon as I see them, I get so happy because they are very critical, and they ask very solid questions, which would let everybody be on their toes. So I think as women, we are getting there. I think we are getting there. So another thing I would want to talk about is communication skills. As women, you cannot lead your people if you don't know how to communicate. You need to know how to communicate well, how to motivate, how to inspire your people to action. Okay, and when I'm talking about inspiring, it's not only about being the mother. There are times you have to be the mother. There are times you have to be strict, because if you don't do that, the tendency, she's a woman. So we need to know how to balance, not to also take that thing to also let us to react. Okay, and the final one is we have to lead with the heart.
All right.
Yes. So I think these are the few. We're looking at the analytical skills.
Okay,
I
think that's actually a loaded one. Leading with a heart. I don't know if you want to explain what that means.
Leading with a heart. I would want to give this example using there are two women I love so much. I listen to them every time. That is Kala Harris, and then Kala Harris of Morgan Stanley, and then Indra Nooyi, the former PepsiCo CEO. Indra mentioned this leading with the heart, and she gave a good example. She said every staff that she used to work with, she knows everything about them. She knows their problems, she knows their challenges. There was a time, even on Mother's Day, she had to personally send letters to all the employees, their mother, to appreciate them. This is what I mean, leading with a heart. Leading with a heart, you're talking about the whole Jifa. You are looking at Jifa, and you are not looking at her as in her role that Jifa the analyst. When you look at Jifa the analyst, everything you are concerned about with Jifa is her work. So when she's not meeting her target, you don't care about why. You don't want to know when she comes in with a moody face, you are not concerned. All you want is, where's my report? But when you are looking at her as Jifa, you are concerned. And this is where, even when it's difficult, she would make sure that she does give her body, soul, and spirit for the company. This is what I mean, leading with her heart.
So on that note of leading, women leading with a heart, I would like to warmly welcome our third guests, Elinam Hogley, Deputy Managing Director, JK Hoggle Transport and Company Limited. You are welcome, Elinam. Good. Elinam, yes, I'm coming straight to you. The other ladies have been sharing their opinions on what are some of the must-haves for women to take up leadership positions, especially in disruptive times such as the COVID-19 period. What are your thoughts on that?
Thank you very much for having me, first of all, and thank you so much for holding the fort. I've been listening while I'm on my way, and you guys are doing very well.
Thank you.
I don't know what you said, but boldness. The opportunity has come. There's been a lot of movement in leadership roles because of COVID-19. There's been the whole working from home situation that has changed the way work is. Traditionally, work has been go and sit at the desk from morning to evening. Now there's opportunity to work from home. So it's also created new leadership roles in the organization, because now you don't have to be there for it to work. And so boldness and stepping into that kind of opportunity that has been created. There's some research that shows that most of the time when there's job applications, women are overqualified and still don't apply, and then men don't have the qualification and will apply because of that boldness. So for us in this era of empowering women, the onus is also on us women to take up the step and be bold. Just try. What's the worst that can happen? You will learn a lesson, and next time you do it better. Just try. Take up that step and try.
Okay. So given all the skill deficits that you have all outlined, talking about establishing of systems, technological advancement, multitasking, adaptability, communication skills, analytical skills, being bold, and all of those. What do you think, once again, Eleanor, what do you think are some of the practical measures that can be put in place? It may not necessarily be by just the women themselves, but it may be by the government, the society as a whole. What do you think are practical steps that can be put in place to ensure that there's a bridge to address these skill benefits, to enable women to take up leadership positions effectively?
We need to give a platform, like ones like this, where women who are in leadership are highlighted. Because, so one of the activities that we did at our transport yard was to train women to become tanker drivers. And then when we were doing the interview, we asked one of the ladies, why did she come? Why does she want to be a tanker driver? She said she saw another woman driving a tanker. That's why she realized that she can do it. And for me, the whole we interviewed about 30 people, and that was the thing that I took away from them. She wants to do it because she saw it happening.
Example.
So if we can, as like this, platforms like this, showcasing the women that are in leadership, will create a passion in other women to do it. Because there's a thing going on right now where we have the race equality. So if you watch a few movies and series nowadays, they're trying to bring in more blacks, more Asians. It's not just white people. It's because they know the impact of seeing somebody like you doing what you want to do. So if we can begin to see more women doing more things in leadership, that it will, fuel more of us to show what we naturally already have. So it's creating the platform for those who are doing it to be highlighted, and then also be intentional about gender inclusion. And it's like we said earlier, that more men will apply for the position than women. You know this. So you should be intentional about the selection of candidates. We are not saying that you should, sideline men who are experienced or who are qualified, but be intentional that I have invited 10 people for an interview, and it's only 2 women out of 8 men. The odds are not good. Let me see if I can find more women who are also equally qualified to come for the interview, and then give everybody a chance. So the intentionality, and then creating the platform for people to see what other people who are in leadership are doing will be great.
Yes, actually, I was coming to you to find out how you think we can revolutionize,
so
his
in
change.
addition to all that Elinam have said,
Yeah.
I think one key thing is that women must learn. Knowledge is so available these days. Me and my children were watching a very funny movie where a lady who doesn't know how to do events decided that she was going to do events. I don't know how many people watched that funny movie. You see, she didn't know anything. Anything they mention, when she always gets the contrast, but when she gets there and they start talking to her, everybody gets angry. And somebody say, go and Google it. It means that, yes, we have to have a soft spot for ladies, but we're not talking about bringing up ladies who are incompetent. Ladies have the responsibility to self-learn. We must learn. If you don't understand, knowledge is so available these days. Unlike my days when there's nothing like Google. Almost every topic that you need to know, you can Google it. And secondly, we need to avail ourselves to mentor and be mentored. Very, as she said, you have to showcase the ladies. Yes, they've showcased us, but ladies must have the boldness to approach and ask to be mentored. I always say there's nothing wrong with saying I don't know. I joined the WISE network because I realized that it is time certain things are missing in my life. Yes, I'm a CEO. And look, I'm getting accomplished. But the higher I go, the more I realize that there are deficits in the kind of competencies I need. What do I have to do? Collaborate with other ladies. Sometimes ladies think that the information or the position will come begging for them. We must learn and equip ourselves. Very critical. And also, we must also be able to be self-disciplined as women. As I always say, business and leadership have no gender. The self-discipline is very critical. It is difficult to multitask. Honestly speaking, wake up in the morning, bath children, rush to work, come back home, cook. In the night, you have to do what is needful. If you are married, it is not an easy task. So we need a level of self-discipline
Yeah.
because the journey is not going to be easy.
Yeah.
So to be able to fill the gap, we need to be very disciplined. Spend an extra 1 hour in the evening before you go. Just Google a topic that is of interest to you. Do something new in your office so that you'll be noticed. If you go back to sleep and say, "Oh, I'm very tired," I'm sorry. If somebody say, if a man has to work 50%, a woman has to do double to be noticed. It calls for hard work and self-discipline. We got to push ourselves. Push. Nobody's going to push us. We need to push ourselves as ladies if you are going to close the gap. And also, we have to start early. Yes, we are already old. We are at the top. But what are we doing to the younger generation? We have to start letting them know that there is a place in the top that is sweeter than staying below. Or that we whet their appetite from a very young age before they get it. So by the time they get to our age to become captains of industries, there is no longer the deficit. It will get closer with time.
Theodora, oftentimes, and I have personally observed this for some time, when there's this conversation around empowering women and all sorts, there seems to be a certain discussion of us against them. Okay? So usually the conversation is such that it is seen as if it is women, trying to push, in quotes, a certain agenda against men. Now that, against men, women against men, that in itself appears to create some challenges. And many men see this as a threat. How can we undertake this discourse effectively so that men are seen as partners in this noble quest rather than being competitors? How can we do that?
I think that first and foremost, as women, we have to understand that whatever we do, don't do it to get a man's approval. Okay? So what do I mean by that? I'm in the office, let's say I'm maybe with another head. I don't need to, when I approach my work with the sense that he has to know that I am good, it's a wrong footing.
Okay.
And I don't need to do it so that he would take me and say that you are good. No. We shouldn't approach it like that. No, you are unique. Understand you have the power. And then you work at it. Okay. When you have your goal that in the next 2 or 3 years, this is where I want to be. You are not distracted, okay? And I always believe in writing down your goal. When you write down your goal, I said somewhere that as I'm sitting here, I have 2 KPIs. One, that one for my department, which was given to me, we have to discuss with my boss, is with me. And I have another one for myself. It's in my bag. There's one in the office and there's one at home. Okay? So you find out that if I put there that I want to be a certified, or I want to be certified in business continuity in the next 1 year, I would see him as a help and not as a competitor. Because for me to get there, I need him.
Sure.
Okay, so today I've been able to certify, but I didn't do it alone. Okay, so if I have as part of my goal and part of my objective, I need to learn ABC. I need to improve my visibility. So when you have that, your focus and your aim and your drive is achieving that goal. So you don't see who is here and who is here. All you see is that who I can use to get to where I need to get. So I think that when we have this, when you write it, I'm not talking about having it in your mind. When you write it, and as Jenny would say, you have an accountability partner. Okay, so we have the accountability partner who will be checking, okay, you said you are going to do A, you said you are going to do B. You have the mentor who would help you to make sure that these things you have written, you are pushing, you are going through. Then you have the sponsor. When you have all these things written down, as the Bible says, write the vision down. When you have all this written down, competition is not your goal. You are thinking about what you want and how you can make an impact to society and in your company. So I think this is the simple thing. I think when we approach it that way, it will be good for us. Otherwise, you will just be working and when it happens like that is, whenever you change or you do something, I'm tempted to also move because it's like we are competing.
Yeah.
You get it. But if you are focused, I think it makes the work a bit easier for you.
Yeah. Elena, I mean, this is one side of the discussion that is very dear to my heart too, because I'm interested in both the man and the woman thriving, but in a very peaceful atmosphere so that there is proper coexistence. Okay, so the other speakers have spoken more on the side of the woman. Okay, how can men also manage their anxieties? Okay, how can men manage their anxieties?
It's a big question.
So that's how can we manage that? So we are having a very, important discussion for a peaceful coexistence, whereby side by side, everybody brings some contribution to it. How can men manage their anxieties?
Okay. Big question.
And maybe I should add, whilst you're answering that question, what are some of the things that contribute to such anxieties?
Okay.
Maybe the women can also take note.
Okay. I think I know why you asked me this
I'm having wings.
I think I know why. So, for context, the business I manage has about 700 employees, and we had only 19 women in 700 people. So I'm sure that's why he's trying to put me on the spot. So introducing women into this, I would say the first responsibility is on the leaders, the advocates, the subject matter experts. We are pushing for women to be given equal opportunity. The first responsibility is on us. To be able to communicate the desire in such a way that it's not diminishing one gender to raise the other one.
Okay.
We said we want equal rights, not superior rights. So our conversation, our tonation, our articulation of what we want needs to be carefully stated.
Okay.
Because the thing is, we were trying to break the status quo. And you don't do that by a Luther only. There have been several movements in the world, and you realize that the ones that last the most, the ones that have a lasting impact, they don't resort to giddy-giddy or violence. They take the matter from a very strategic point of view in such a way that the people that you are trying to get to change accept the change. So in my organization, when we're introducing the female drivers, we started with education. Our biggest setback was when we had a MasterCard Foundation advert on TV, where somebody made a comment that female drivers don't steal. That was a huge problem for me. Because now we look like, so you are bringing the women to come and prove that we are thieves. So it was a big problem in the office. So we had to manage that communication very well and make it clear to the male drivers that we are not bringing women to come and prove that there's no theft in the industry. We are bringing women because some of your wives, when you pull, are unfortunately gone, they have to take care of your children. And your job, our industry is a petroleum distribution, tanker driving. Their job is very secure. We put so many HSE, in place that you won't die on the job. And then you have full salary, you have medical, you have health, you have all those, it's very secure, lucrative job. So why not give your daughters, your sisters, your wives opportunity to have that so that you can also take care of the back when you are not there. So we positioned in such a way that it was beneficial to the people who I would say were already kingpins, the men in the job. And that helped them not to be afraid of accepting the women. And then the women themselves, when they were coming, they were intimidated. To be honest, you are only 12. You're coming to meet almost 400 men. So it was intimidation in the first place. So what we did, we gave them male mentors. And we made sure that the male mentors did not have any power in their recruitment. So that now there is no intimidation, give me something for something. He doesn't have any, you've been recruited. You just have to learn. When you finish learning, you move. So it starts from the opinion leaders. The way we communicate is essential. We want to create change. So if we don't manage the change well, it won't happen.
Interesting. Theodora?
Okay, so just to add on, I think she mentioned communication is the key. So sometimes when you are doing some of these policies in the company and you just resort to sending a memo, one memo, and then you send to all staff from henceforth, we are going to do A, B, C. It's not enough. It's not enough. Okay. So one thing I have been doing that has worked for me, especially when I want to bring something new. In my mind, I know what I want to do. But if I bring it that I want to bring female drivers, I will get resistance. So what I would normally do is I'll call for a meeting, and then without telling them what the end result is, present to them a case study. Okay, so in the department for driver, this is what we need. We want to be the #1 in terms of the tanker driver association in the company, blah, blah, blah. So what are some of the things we need to do? Then I would direct the question in certain way that they themselves will come and say, okay, so I think aside that there's no company in Ghana that has female drivers. So let's get some. So even though in my pink sheet, I have it there.
Communication skills.
I would make sure that idea comes from you in a discussion. So when you bring it and I write it, I write it. And I'll even end up having even a lot more points that I didn't have. So in that case, when I'm implementing it, it's not like I am an idea. It's like we all, we agreed. So I am just implementing what we are.
Interesting.
And it has worked.
Okay.
On the lighter side, I always say that it's not the men who brought the problem in the first place. Why then are they anxious? On the lighter side, where did this whole equality thing came from? It's not they who started by sidelining us. But that notwithstanding, I always think that women should also understand that our quest for leadership is not to show the men where power lies. We don't desire to become leaders to show the men that this is where power lies. No. In my organization, I'm the CEO, the founder, and my husband is the general manager. So by the rank, I'm his boss. The third in command is a guy. So we have more guys, but honestly speaking, through wisdom and patience, and letting them know that I'm not your boss to show you where power lies. I've been able to live with them so much that when you enter our office, there's so much, harmony. I always tell the ladies that we are here to partner with the men to make the world a better place for everybody. So this issue for example, if I'm going to set up a team to work, I make sure that a lady becomes the team leader. But before you do, I'll let you understand that you are not going there to go and show them your crafty powers. You are going there to collaborate with them. So I am teaching them leadership, but in such a way that they don't go throwing their authority over the men. They have to understand that we are in this together. And what is the ultimate aim is to make the world a better place.
Great.
So I think the way we talk, that's the communication. Yes. So we put the ladies in leadership position, but we must drum it into our heads as women that the desire for equality in the boardroom, in whatever level, is not to show the men where power lies. It's just to create an environment for a happier life for everybody. Once that understanding is clear to every girl child, to every business owner, to every corporate leader, we can work together in harmony.
Yeah, thank you, Jifa. For those who are now joining us, we are talking about taking up leadership challenge during crisis. How poised is the contemporary woman? I'll start from Jifa and then up. I've heard a lot of people alluding that women are comforting, and so even in leadership position, they expect women to be not only comforting but also inspirational. Now, in such a pandemic-driven era, when people are probably facing so many challenges, how can women keep up with these expectations while at the same time pushing for performance? How can this be done by the woman?
You see, I've learned in my business over the years that the first and foremost thing is that you build systems and train people to man the systems. So everybody knows that whether there's pandemic or no pandemic, this target must be achieved.
Mm.
In the process, when there was no COVID and there was no pandemic, certain things that I expect from you, I will still expect them. But then, as a mother, as a comforter, there are certain challenges. That's why one of them, I think, Theodora said, you must lead with the heart. During the pandemic, I was very comforting to my staff. Yes, sometimes I buy food for them. Even I could get to a point of even deciding that, okay, today I'm going to sing on our WhatsApp page. Something to just, because some of them have lost family members, there was so much pain, there's so much hurt, and there's so much fear. Because you don't know the next thing that is going to happen. So as a mother, as a woman, you need to provide a shoulder for them to cry on. But you must hold the cane in your other hand.
Yeah.
Because if you're not able to balance these two, oh, for Madame, she's so kind. Oh, she'll buy me rice. But they begin to lose guard.
Sure.
So you must learn the skill of balancing the two. Where you can be able to comfort them, encourage them, provide for them, but at the same time, you must not lose sight of the target.
Sure.
Because it's the target and productivity that is going to bring in income. It's part of the income that can use to comfort them. Because sometimes the comforting goes beyond, oh, sorry, why? Who say why? It goes to you pulling out some money to do certain things. So if you are just being so comforting to the extent that you forget, you've taken your eyes off the target, that brings the money, there's going to be a problem. Yes. So it is very possible for a woman to be very comforting at the same time being a very great leader. I'm not talking about a female boss who is very domineering. No. We have to learn them. It's a very difficult skill to learn. Like those of us who are in smaller organizations that we found from the ground, it's always a very huge challenge. But you must learn it along the way. When you can't understand, you call a friend. Oh, Theo, Charlie, I'm having this challenge. This particular staff is always complaining about A, B, C, D. What do I do? That is the beauty of collaboration. If you have a larger staff, so one of the ways, if you get to a point where you realize you are comforting more than expecting targets, call for help. Somebody who have the idea will help you. But the critical thing is that every woman leader or every female leader must learn the balance between comfort and achieving your targets.
Theodora, juxtaposing, comforting, empathetic leadership while still driving performance. What's your take?
Okay. I will take it from two main aspects. The first one, I think, or I would say, is that you would have a problem when you wait for pandemic, COVID, to institute both. Okay. If you were doing mother, all these years, and then COVID has come, they say work from home, you now want to institute a discipline. You'll be tired. So for me as a principal, what I can continue, I won't start. So COVID or no COVID, I can be very nice, but I can also be very rough. Rough in the sense that when we have to part, when you do well, we have to do, we work, okay? When you make mistake, I correct you nicely. But when I see you are intentionally not doing what you have to do, the reason why you have been paid, hey, then you see the other side, and they know, okay? So I think that my staff know what I don't like. So you don't even start